everyone wants growth. I get it. Everyone wants growth, and those are the results that they want. Growth, cost savings, etc. If you're aligned to those things, you'll always be in business. But we want to go beyond that. Cool. That's the baseline. What are the true emotions that they're actually seeking? Do they want confidence and certainty that this website's going to convert? Are you selling confidence? Are you selling certainty? Do they want to feel strong and powerful and safe and secure? Are you selling security? Are you selling strength? Or do they want hope for the future?
Welcome everyone to the VezaTalks podcast. I'm your co-host, Stefan Katanik, founder and CEO of VezaDigital, and I have a very special guest with me today, Raul. Raul is a growth strategist, author, and mentor. He helps digital businesses design profitable growth and scale their impact. And on this very special episode of VezaTalks, he's going to take me through my very own breakthrough session as if he's coaching me, the CEO of VezaDigital. And I'm super excited to have you, Raul, do this with me.
It's an honor to be on. I'm excited for our conversation.
Excellent, man. Raul, give me a quick who you are, why you're important, and what can we learn from you?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm important, but who I am, I love to powerlift. I love to drink some good espressos. I have my son. He's about 2, running around downstairs, so I chase him, and I do walks with our golden retriever, my wife, serve at a local church here, and when I'm not doing that and I'm in front of a screen, I'm literally helping companies find not just breakthroughs, it's the small things that over time equal significant growth and revenue. In the past, I've doubled to 2 to 5x digital agencies using my strategies. I've, in my history so far, have been responsible for over 25 million in ad spend, direct response ad spend. I've designed teams that have done 50 million in sales. I've helped coach a lot of people and have been able to lead teams over 12 different time zones. And I think the greatest honor is to be able to kind of mentor individuals in their career and help them find their own breakthroughs in their personal trajectory. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, that's really exciting. After reading your bio, I'm like, Raul is the kind of leader that I want to be speaking to. You know, you have the numbers behind you. You definitely have the people. You have the personality of it. I took a look at your podcast as well and listened to some of the podcasts you have there. And some of those talks were just really inspiring, you know, and I wanted personally to speak with you on this one because of what you've done, right? And right now in our business, VezaDigital, we're at that point where, you know, we're all about scale. I'm removing myself from the day-to-day operations, from working in the business and working on the business. And I saw on your website as well, like, who's the bottleneck kind of thing. And I started asking myself last week, I'm like, well, you know what? In some parts, I'm the bottleneck. In some parts, I used to be the bottleneck. And in some parts, I'm probably still going to be the bottleneck until the end of this quarter, right? And so it's a big mind shift change for myself and my team. And you, with your leadership capabilities and what you've done in your career, you know, helping out a 29-year-old, you know, second-time founder, doing a service-based business, you know, how would you approach this?
I would say really it's all about first designing where you want to go and why you want to get there. A lot of times we misinterpret, like, oh, we need to have X amount of goals, X amount of dollars, X amount of team members. And we forget to stop to think is, what is the journey I'm designing? Because the journey does determine your destination. Sometimes we're like, hey, let's figure this destination out and at all costs, including our health and our family, hit that number. Which works, you can be successful, but I also think it's important to, like, can you enjoy the journey, not burn out, but then also design for your team to enjoy that journey. And I think you can arrive to it very fruitfully. So I'll bring it back to you. Where do you want to grow to?
Definitely. So VezaDigital, I see this agency as always existing, right? 5 years from now, I see it here. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I see it here. Right, it's a service-based business. It's really good for us to attract good talent. We talk to many different types of founders who just got some sort of Series A or Series B funding. So we're always working with new types of ideas. It's a very dynamic environment where we're constantly working with new types of projects, right? And for me, I'm a kind of guy that I like change, whether it's changing environments all around the world, whether it's traveling, whether it's changing the type of work that we do or the type of CMS or type of way of advertising. I like experiences like that, right? And I made it a mission for Veza to always go beyond, right? Go beyond the normal way of doing things, right? And that's been our motto since day one. Yeah, and my journey is like, we have Veza Digital, which is always going to be there, but then we have our sister company, which is our B2B agency marketplace, right? That's the thing that's going to basically scale us through software, right? And
Yeah.
and after that company, whatever happens there, we're still going to have Veza Digital, right? And it's always going to be a portal for new ideas, working on new ideas, our own ideas, and so on and so forth. I want to use it as an engine that can drive change for myself and also my team members and our clients that we work with.
I love that. So I see the vision. I hear you saying the right words in regards to we want to attract talent, not just hire people to do a job. And I think that's significant, especially, I mean, we're almost the same age. So at our age, to know that, to be able to have that wisdom. You've already designed, and from what I'm hearing, the business model then. Like if I have X amount of users in the B2B platform and X amount of agency clients, here's how many we have to sell, here's how many churn. You have that mapped out already, correct?
For that model, Veza.io, that one, yes, we do. And then for our main business, the agency, we do as well.
Okay, so you have those specific. That's the first stage that I normally go to in developing growth plans, is identifying the scalable business model. What is the growth strategy? What are the sales? What are the churns? And what are the opportunities in revenue? Have you dissected the percentage allocation of revenue streams? For example, some of our products or services per agency and per B2B marketplace, these packages or these offers, here's the percentage that they contribute to top line revenue. And have you dissected your offerings that way?
We have. We looked at our web design deals, and those are, we're ranked first globally for Webflow agency, right under Webflow, right? So we have an abundance of leads coming in every single day. And we've been able to productize our services over the last year and a bit. And basically we know what packages are the highest selling packages. We know which add-ons are the highest selling add-ons based on the type of niche or sub niche that this client is coming in towards, right? So all the B2B SaaS companies that are Series A, they want a marketing website where they can deploy different types of A/B tests, landing pages, and marketing campaigns to relatively quick, right? So we know that package for them is $50,000 plus, these bells and whistle add-ons like motion graphics, ongoing support, SEO, right? And so we've been able to productize that, and now in our other marketing messages through outbound, we basically take that offer now to the market in a more outbound approach. Does that make sense?
Okay. That does make sense. So the diversification of revenue, your inbound funnel, your outbound funnel. That kind of takes care of the second string where I look in the revenue engine. So there's three pieces to the revenue engine, and this all ties back to profit. We haven't touched profit yet, but the revenue engine that I look into is your acquisition model, and then revenue retention. And then from revenue retention to company health metrics on revenue efficiencies. Your revenue efficiencies, your all-in costs for marketing, etc. Tell me more about your current retention strategies, your retention model for both the agency and the B2B market.
Right. So the agency, the model's pretty straightforward. We give good results. We put people first. So when I say people first, we don't follow the traditional way of just doing fully Zoom calls or Google Meets. Our teams will actually go once a quarter to their offices, bring a box of bagels, some coffee, donuts, talk shop for a day or two. Workshops. So we try to personalize a lot of that, right, and show up as partners. So that has enabled us to retain most of our top 20% of our clientele, where we have per projects, but then we have ongoing retainers with them. And then the bottom 80%, those are mostly churn models of per projects that come to us for web design, and there's some ongoing SEO for a few months until they actually start delegating it in-house, right? Now, for the marketplace, we still are in our closed beta. That retention model is you come once, you do the service with us that we broker to another white label agency. We broker you to a reputable agency. They do a good job. They provide a really good rate. We solve a problem for both sides of the market, which is basically capacity. They either have capacity or they don't have capacity. The ones who don't have capacity, white label capacity at a wholesale rate, use that capacity for that project. They make money. These guys make money because their talent isn't idle. So we're solving two parts of the problem. But retention is something that I always strive to improve in different ways. And I don't necessarily have, nor does my biz dev team or my accounts team have a clear-cut strategy. We mostly go based on intuition and gut feeling.
Okay. I mean, that works in the beginning, and typically, well, let's dive into that. Maybe this is the area for breakthrough. So if I can recap so that I ensure that I understood correctly, is that for the agency front, you have the traditional project work and or retainer work. Are you performance based? Are you per project? Are you month to month? Are you what's the goal?
It's
Like what's the
it's a
actual
mixture.
pricing model? It's a mixture.
Yeah. So first, what we'll do is we'll create them a really nice marketing website using Webflow. Right.
Okay.
That'll probably take 2 to 3 months for a full turnaround. Once that's turned around, they'll bring us on board to do ongoing SEO or some sort of paid ads or paid search, right? And then
Okay.
we'll bill a percentage of ad spend, whether it's 10 to 15% of that monthly ad spend.
Okay. How do you differentiate from other agencies if you're selling services?
How do we differentiate? That's a really good question, and I can give you the traditional cliche answer. But the truth is Veza Digital, we position ourselves as basically an extension of your marketing team, right? We're not an agency, although we operate as an agency. We want people to have that personable feel, right? When they're
It's a partner.
talking to, it's a partner, right?
I love that. But let's actually lean a little bit stronger, because my thesis now at the wave of beginning of using AI tools, and I'll give you some stories. Like one of the clients that I'm working with, can't tell the name, but they do some branding, they do some brand decks, and one of the people that they use, or agencies or vendors that they use for some of those pieces, they may charge 5 figures for a brand deck or a brand guide, etc., because they're selling a service. Right now, I think we're at the tip of the iceberg of all the tools that are going to come out. It's still machine learning, it's not true AI. But to be able to have people become more effective and efficient in the work output, and some of the services will be commoditized. Some of the services will be commoditized and replaced by a machine or a tool, whatever you want to call it, AI or whatever, marketing AI, that'll do it faster, cheaper, and better while with needing no rest, no emotions, and no extra overtime. I know that's always been a threat in the beginning when we did outsourcing, when that first became very prevalent in the U.S., and then we also started doing automation work. But I think now it's becoming extremely incredible what one individual can do with these tools. So my thesis right now, the way that I'm seeing this, that if you're selling services as a service, you will be commoditized, because then you're starting to position yourself, okay, well, who can I get this same service for at a better job or a better rate and still get the same output that I desire? So when you hear that, how else could you position yourself with your clients? Like, what is the end outcome or end goal? Because people don't buy a website to feel good. Some people sell it that way, and I know Webflow designs. It's beautiful. What Webflow produces is amazing, right? And even looking at your website, it's definitely, it's not average. It's really cool. But we always have to understand, what's the business case we're building. If you work with me, I build your website, I do the Webflow, I do the SEO, I do some paid ads. For what end? What's the purpose?
Right.
What's the outcome?
Right. Well, you know what? Some clients tell us they're trying to raise our next round and look cool.
Yeah.
We have some clients that tell us that, hey, we're looking to increase our conversion rate, but being hip and modern and look way better than our competitor. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Some tell us, hey, we want a fully SEO backed website where every single page is its own homepage, and we want to dominate top of Google. Right. So it's all these different outcomes people are looking for, but ultimately they come to us to solve a problem related to either vanity, looking good, or a business metric, which is getting more leads and filling up their pipeline.
Yeah, it's acquisition. I actually don't think the vanity piece. I have a friend who charges a significant amount for just the logo and brand design and some websites too. But what he does it for specifically is what you said, is like these companies are looking to exit, or they're looking to raise their next round. And when you do that, I don't know if he has tied it back yet, but maybe it'd be cool for you to look at, if when we did this project, let's just look at that section, new Webflow design or new website design, just for that particular scope. For the ones who wanted an outcome of higher valuation or a higher round, how much did they raise on average? How much would they have raised, or in their minds have raised, without the website? And that gap, that difference, not that you can guarantee it, but you want to be able to sell that transformation. You don't sell websites. I can get a website, you already know, like the costs are ridiculous. Like they're really low. You can get a website for really low cost. I think what you'll be selling now for that, in that particular use case, could be, I help you, I don't know, add an extra 50 in your valuation or in your, how do you do that? Oh, we do our proprietary web design formula. They're not buying a website. They're buying that valuation.
Man, that is so powerful.
Yeah. Positioning ourselves differently from a service, because every service right now, and this is unfortunate, is going to be commoditized. I know this might be too early. This might be early adopter. I might drink too much of the Kool-Aid, but I just see it. And I mean, you're on LinkedIn, right? I'm on LinkedIn. I go to Sales Navigator on LinkedIn. I search digital marketing agency. I have about 4,000, 6,000 hits. I look at the ones that have been around for 3 years, 5 years, and I look at the first 20, 50, 100, all the same. I do web design, I do PPC, I do SEO, I do social media content, I do all the same things. All the same. What's the difference? For me, if I can see everyone doing the same thing, and you're all competing in the middle playing field, then it becomes a commodity. Then I'm looking at who can do it at the best for the lowest rate. Like, or another example, right now I'm in the market for podcast guesting, right? Just to be completely blunt and upfront. I'm interviewing a few people to do it for me, some companies and some services. They're all doing the exact same sales call. I mean, that you and I know. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What's your gap? What's stopping you? Like the whole gap selling. That's cool. All right. And I know they're going to position based on the prices that I told them that I expect to pay or expect to receive. Like, oh, if I get 15 new deal or like whatever, right? So they're going to position their pricing based on value. Oh, if we can help you get this, then we can charge 10% of that or 20% of that, right? But that's still a service, isn't a commodity. The key would be, and hopefully they hear this in time, to pitch me correctly. But when they pitch me, I don't want them to pitch me on the service. I want them to pitch me like, oh, here is the outcome you can expect, and here's our guarantee. And when you make stronger offers because of the work that you've done in the past, and not backing up with, we'll get you, for example, if you do ad spend, we'll get you a 3x ROI, like not that kind of guarantee, but a guarantee based on the work quality, what you've done in the past in your actual repertoire. Oh, we're averaging this much value add, guaranteeing that, and have the client feel they're actually buying the transformation, not the service. No one wants a service. They want the business case of leads, and which you mentioned, leads, new sales, some cost savings, but preferably growth.
This to me is like, I've heard it so many times, but I've never heard it in such a simple and articulate way how you just explained it.
I appreciate that.
Really, no, it's really powerful. Selling the transformation, and we normally do sell the transformation. We sell the outcome. We talk about the outcome. We talk about a partnership after this project is completed, right? Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. You know, with some agencies, I know from our white level program, I feel like it's becoming a race to the bottom, you know, in terms of like price and like trying to maintain that quality. And mm-hmm. and we shifted our mindset about 2 years ago to providing that ultra level of design, you know, and provide a really premium experience for websites, right? Like, for example, you see on our website, VezaDigital.com, our level of just like design feel and emotional pull that you have towards it, right? It's following all the 2023 design trends. All the UI elements are there that are supposed to be there. So when B2B SaaS companies come to us, they discovered Webflow maybe a couple months ago, but they don't know how to use it. So by owning that top of the funnel in organic, by having a website like this, our conversion rate to becoming a lead is pretty good. And then our conversion rate from lead to sales is around 35%. There's always room for improvement, but now we're like, okay, how do we actually scale this? How do we take this from, you know, 5 mil to 10 mil? You know, and that's the mindset we're at right now.
I have a client where that's the goal. They're at 6. They want to get to 8 figures. I think a lot of it does begin with business model innovation first. I think with the sales in the pipeline, it sounds to me like you have that equation solved, which typically that's the hardest to always solve, right? Lead gen. The nuances, maybe we can get a little advanced here. The nuances would be business model innovation, pricing, positioning, and the segment of the market that you want to work with and the total addressable market there. Do you want to be low cost, high volume? Do you want to be high cost, low volume? It sounds to me that you're premium cost right now, but what's the vision for the future?
Yeah, and I love that because, you know, our pricing, it's standardized for our services. Our position right now, we're almost there, but we know our niche is B2B SaaS, Series A to Series C, that we want to work with, right?
Okay.
And these are mostly companies in North America. So our pricing and our niche is there. It's our positioning and how we're positioning ourselves in that market of the niche. For Veza Digital specifically, is what we're trying to figure out at this moment right now.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about the psychology of the founder or the board. Like who buys from you? Is it the founder? Is it the director of marketing? Is it the VP of marketing? Is it the CRO?
It's normally the CMO, the CEO, or the co-founders themselves, right? So it's
Okay.
I'd say those three personas are the highest that we get, but we do get occasionally like director of marketing, VP of marketings that come to us.
Okay. Tell me more about how usually they have to get marketing to be able to buy. Tell me about their beliefs around marketing, their beliefs around business, and how they like to make decisions.
Right. That's a really good question. The most common denominator that we get is they understand the power of a website, of a marketing website, that it's the first point of reference for new employees, investors, new clients, media companies, people looking for resources related to that problem they solve, right? And so they always want their website to basically have all that information there, accessible in an easy way, in an easy format, right? That is pretty much on 9 times out of 10, we hear that from these people.
Well, so that's surface layer. That's great. I want to dive a little deeper, and I want to understand their worldview. I want to understand how they make decisions. I want to understand, do they grow up thinking the world's a safe place or a dangerous place? I want to understand what they think about business, what they think about others. This sounds super like lofty and weird,
Mm-hmm.
but when you understand their psychology, you get to understand how they think and what their beliefs are and their limiting beliefs are. And when you understand what they're actually seeking for, why they do what they do, your language, your languaging, your positioning, and your sales conversations are actually different. I mean, I can get into nuances as to seeing this and having this work in practicality. But when you understand that, then you can position around the products and services on the emotions that they want to get. Everyone wants growth. I get it. Everyone wants growth, and those are the results that they want. Growth, cost savings, etc. If you're aligned to those things, you'll always be in business. But we want to go beyond that. Cool. That's the baseline. What are the true emotions that they're actually seeking? Do they want confidence and certainty that this website's going to convert? Are you selling confidence? Are you selling certainty? Do they want to feel strong and powerful and safe and secure? Are you selling security? Are you selling strength? Or do they want hope for the future? These are just simple examples, but when you start to understand their psychology, the team dynamics, the culture that they're building, the actual product that they're producing for the marketplace, ideally it has to work. I mean, that's the one key thing with B2B SaaS is some products may actually not work. What are you selling to? And that will align with the language, the types of words you use, the languaging, and the positioning in the marketplace to be able to hit those core emotions based on the products or services that you offer.
Okay. I really want to talk about that more. So how do you, like, I'm trying to figure it out too, to be frank with you. Like,
Okay.
how do you get to that level? How do you get to that level of understanding where they're at, what their emotional state is, what kind of emotional outcome they want on a career level, maybe even on a personal level? How do you even approach that enigma of a thing?
Yeah, it sounds easier to say than to do, but the doing is actually not very complicated. A few ways. One, through research. Two, you can even do it leveraging AI, which is kind of interesting. You can ask GPT about your market. You can ask GPT about the types of founders or the best popular founders. Some of it is internet, quote unquote, stalking. I mean, just reading what they're saying, what they're thinking. But the key is around conversations. You visit them in the office. Maybe you look at your best 10 clients in the past and have those conversations. And, in the buffer conversations, like, hey, how's the family? Like, I even mentioned a few things here about myself, too. It's like, why did I mention that? Double click, like, well, why do you walk your dog? Or, like, why do you serve at your local parish? Like, you have a kid? How old are you? Okay. So those are all based on my beliefs and my personal worldview. And your clients are giving you that information every single day. They're giving that to you. And when you start identifying those key pieces, then you can start building out, like, I call it the inner dialogue. You have to know how they talk to themselves. And if you can start to fine tune your hearing to hear their inner dialogue. You're not getting in their brain. You're actually starting to understand how this person talks to themselves. Because everyone talks to themselves. And sometimes there's positive, sometimes it's very negative. And that is based, again, on their worldview, their belief system, how they grew up. I have a template or a format here. Let me see if I can send it to you. So when it comes to research, I like to suggest following the rule of 21. If you're doing online research, just search 21 people and literally follow them on all social, see what they're posting, see the family. I know it feels a little odd or weird. The internet's at our disposal to leverage this information for good. Usually when you get to like number 17, you already know what the next 5 are going to say. Right? So, or the next 4. But the key things is to understand, one, what do they believe about the world? And these are the basic human philosophical questions. What is my purpose in life? Who am I in this world? Once you answer the questions of who you are, who are others, right? So first is answering anthropology. What is it to be human? And then second, ethics and values. If this is what it means to be human, how should I treat others? What does their future look like? What are they doing? What are the beliefs about what they're doing? Do they have intrinsic or extrinsic motivators to what they're doing? And how do they make buying decisions? Typically in SaaS, they might be more rational, but you never know. You might have an emotional buyer. Someone who buys for a very specific belief that's more emotionally based. And a lot of people tell you that, everyone makes emotional decisions when buying. Yeah, sure, but that's very surface level to say, right? And then understanding their levels of trust. How do they trust people? What are the prerequisites to earning their trust? Or do they just give it away freely? So that's all these small little nuances of understanding human behavior and then positioning your products and services in alignment to that and speaking to them individually. And when you do that, you can have a lot of fun with your business model. You can have a lot of fun with your pricing and in your branding. For example, I was giving I'm a mentor in ad skills. It's like a community for media buyers and agency owners. And I was talking about that price, in my opinion, is actually rational. People think that price is subjective, but it's not true. Price is very rational. Value is irrational. Like a small story or a fun story. Like in my household, bananas, the actual fruit, is a currency. My son absolutely loves bananas, and like if he might have 3 in a day, I might be like if by accident we'll feed him 2 bananas or 3 per day. But he loves bananas. When I go to the store, I see the price of bananas. I can't get bananas for more than $3. They're like $1 something for like the organic high class, bananas, cage free, wild caught, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, oh wow, yeah. I'd happily pay $15 for bananas. But again, my value of banana is irrational because my son cares about them so much. But I can get them for the store for like 70 cents. And that to me is like, wow, I'm getting a steal. What a bargain. Mm-hmm. So how do you position your products and services in alignment to the value based on the person, based on their beliefs, and tying that back to the business case? You can't just do this and sell a puff of air, even though there are products on Amazon where you're literally buying nothing. But besides that joke, how do you position the actual services and deliverables to a business case, but speak to them in a way where they feel it's uniquely for them and it's not seen as a commodity? Because again, if you're selling a service right now, I'm fairly confident that we can train someone up for a very low cost per hour, give them the right tools, softwares, and technologies, and they'll be able to produce something that the client would be wowed by, because the client can't tell the difference between your 120% and someone else's 75% of output, because they care about the result.
Yeah. Wow. Raul, I took 2 pages of notes as you were talking. So you said something really cool. And before I actually get to that, how did you learn all of this stuff, man? Like, how did you get to this point right now that me and you were talking on a podcast about below the surface level of buying power, what makes people tick and what makes people buy?
I don't know. By accident, by doing it. I have a natural affinity to philosophy and to abstract thinking.
Okay.
So there's that, but it's also through, I think it might be through my direct response experience of seeing marketplaces, products, why some work, why some other works. Obviously, different books and lessons and actual real world experience. But when we understand that humans do business with humans and that the future of business will always be human or will still be human, even though there might be different approaches to it, I think just getting back to that and having a deeper understanding, and then at the same time strategically through what I call invisible competition, like competing on the invisible, your economics, your business model, your positioning, your pricing, your partners, your key vendors, these things that your competitors can't see. They can see your website, they can steal your copy, they can steal your branding, they can put ads against your name saying, hey, we do it for cheaper, or we do it faster, or we do it better. If your competitors are doing that, please thank them for that, to be honest with you, because that's a race to the bottom. But they can't model the back end because they don't know it. They wouldn't know it unless they actually had access to your P&L or your financials. So how do we compete on the invisible?
They can't model the back end, and that's the invisible, right? So these invisibles that are happening, these are pretty much asymmetric opportunities that, when properly fine-tuned between pricing, positioning, and that niche, that's where you unlock that asymmetric growth opportunity. Am I getting
Absolutely.
that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, I love that you mentioned asymmetrical. It's kind of cool because a business is like if you want to have an analogous term of a human body, like every human is 95% the same. Maybe it's like 90%, but not, just for example's sake. We have bone structure, muscle tissue, eyes, cup of hair. Like, we have the whole genetic similar makeup, but there's always that 5%, or if it's 3%, whatever percentage it is. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but that percentage that makes us uniquely us. And the cool part is that there's no, the statistical significance is that there's no number of humans alive that there's two humans can have the exact same genetic makeup characteristics and personality and output. They might look similar, they might be but everyone is actually uniquely their own, and this is through statistical modeling, right? But when we look at that and understand, okay, if every human is the same, every business has the potential to be the same. They all have operations, marketing, sales, R&D, client acquisition, health metrics, finances, money, etc. We all have that. It's what you mentioned. What are the opportunities that we can fine-tune? Pricing, operational expenses. What are the other revenue levers? Lifetime value of clients. Specifically for agencies, the 7 revenue levers are pricing, LTV, operational expenses, upsells, and win-back rates, and churn rates. That's an increase for LTV. But these revenue levers, it's how do you fine-tune them to position yourself in alignment to your goals, in alignment to your positioning, in alignment to where you want to be seen in your marketplace? Because you can also take this exact strategy and do what some companies do. They're low-cost leaders. And I'm about to tell you an opinion. So this is not an advice, but this is an opinion based on what I see in the marketplace. So please take this at your own discretion. But my opinion is that when you position yourself when it comes to pricing, either position yourself as a low-cost leader or as a premium high cost or below premium. Because if you position yourself somewhere in the middle, you're giving your market the opportunity to compare you. It's like when we see, like, I won't name the product, but I absolutely love this company. They sell home security, home cams, like, for super cheap. But they penetrated the marketplace by being everywhere with a super cheap, very good, very competent product. And then they stacked on top of that. So they led the market through low cost. There's others who lead markets with high cost because they want to be seen as competing with other players in the marketplace who are mid-market or enterprise level.
Yeah, and we're just at that level now as Veza Digital, just lower. Like one of our ultra premium web design package is $92,500. That's without any add-ons, right? And so if you add on all the different bells and whistles, you're coming out to 130, 140,000, right? For a Webflow website. Now this is the type of product that, the SaaS founders who don't have any technical background, they have a more sales, finance, marketing background. For them, it's a flex, right? It's a status symbol. Hey, we just paid this much money for a website from this agency here, and it's on Webflow. Check it out, and so we attract that type of persona as well in our funnel.
Okay, so you attract someone who is seeking status and I mean, if I can open that, do you want me to go deep in some psychology on that, or
let's go into that psychology aspect? This is the fun part, man. This is the meat.
I love it. So they're buying external. They get value or status from external symbols. Typically, they want to do the done for you. They don't want to do it themselves. For them, I won't dive too deep into some of the external psychology. Maybe you do that offline. I can send you some notes. But the cool part is, from there, your conversations are shaped around them being the driver, the highlight. So I almost feel like maybe your client relationships with them is that they're always the star and you're just there to support. You're the supporting actor in the show. And maybe that's how your conversations, your meetings go with the client.
Some good advice, not all the time, but I see where you're coming from, and I see why that would be important.
Yeah, I mean, there's different aspects in different people, but the interesting part is they're not just buying a Webflow. I mean, if they're buying the status, then you're giving them that status, and you're giving them that flex power. You're giving them that, feel good or feel powerful approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, giving them flex power. I love that. Giving them flex power, because case by case, like we'll have 5 startups that we work with. 3 of the guys are like, or girls, they're pretty cool, normal people, tech background. They don't really care for that. But then you get the marketing powerhouses, who have like their career has like been CMO, VP of marketing, former co-founder here, and it's just like they want to have the best right away. They want to have like the Ferraris and the cars, and they want it to perform. Right? Performance.
Here's a lesson I think you mentioned. Performance, fast website, but I think you mentioned it. It's a reflection of who they are. When people buy, it's a reflection of who they are, not because of what you do. And so every time that I pitch or that I give clients options, it's not really a pitch. It's like, here's what we do. And I have them self-select and close. And we can talk about that if you want, but I always give them 3 options. And I remember this like if it was yesterday. Client, I send him the whole 1-page deck, and he's like, "Hey, I looked at the first option, and then I didn't even look at the other 2. I want the best. I want the best because it's a reflection of who that person is, not of the product. Even though the product is the best, and it's real. I mean, I'm working with them, but the whole idea is it's the reflection of that. And the cool part is to better going back to the psychology. Why do they buy what they love? What they get. It's a significance. Do they want connection? Do they want love? Do they want status? Do they want to feel worthy? Do they want to feel important to other people? Versus your technical founder, which I'm willing to say is the one who actually wants more certainty, wants more growth, wants a solution, wants to be careful and feel powerful in that carefulness. And they might analyze things robustly before giving you an answer. They're rational buyers.
That's right. Rational buyers versus the emotional, irrational buyers, but still wanted to perform at a very high level.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, what? Also, we've learned in the past few years that people are also buying on their own expectations of what they expect the website to be. So we'll be on sales calls and discovery calls. They'll tell us exactly how to sell them, right? Based on what they're expecting this website to do. They say, we want this website to convert more. We want to increase the organic traffic. We want to be split testing. We want to track all of our analytics and everything. Great. Sounds good. And then at that point, we use this really cool tool called Crystal Knows. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, to get their disc.
To get their disc, right? And so based on that disc portfolio, I think it was initiator, more on the left. So initiator is something else on the left, right? And basically... I sell very well to people who are on the right side. So from red, that go a little bit to yellow, right? But then once I'm speaking to the people who are analytical, critical, the people who go deep into analysis, the people who are finer in the details, my close rate drops like more than half, right?
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. So that's a little lesson that what we use as a marketing agency, our hack when it comes to doing these sales calls.
That's really smart. I mean, that's really cool that you know that, but then also you can bring in the right technical people or support to be able to support you on those calls.
Bingo.
I love that. Okay, so it sounds to me like you needed more support around positioning. You needed more to double click on that. I mean, the other key areas that I would look at when it comes to like your entire trajectory, your growth plan, is on your revenue efficiencies and your health status. But it sounds to me like you have the acquisition model, you know your CAC payback period. But talk to me more about retention. I think you mentioned that you had some retention models and strategies, but it was mostly around gut feel.
Right. Mostly around gut feel and intuition, right? We finish a project, we talk about the next steps of this project. Once these next steps are being spoken of, you know, the implementation of it, there is a bridge we still have to cross. We don't have a high close rate like 35% on that. It's much lower. We're looking to improve that now, right? And so we don't have a clear-cut strategy or tactic of how we actually get people after a project is done to work with us on a monthly recurring basis, whether it's demand gen, web maintenance, helping them with their analytics and tracking. That's the part now that we're struggling at.
Well, that's exciting because, so a few things that I would recommend. I mean, I don't have everything in front of me. I just got to know this, so please bear with me on the, I don't have all the data.
We're good, man.
But
we're good.
A few things would be to set the expectation in the sales call that they're not making two decisions. They're making one decision. Because right now you're positioning it as two decisions. Get started now, and then we'll talk about the stuff later. And then from there, you have to sell them again. They have to be sold again. They have to make the same decision, as opposed to packaging in the very top and even creating different offers or bundles. Hey, if you get this website for, you mentioned earlier, like the 50 grand or the 90 grand, it comes included with this maintenance plan. And for the beginning, for us to get started, it's X amount, and then to continue, it's going to be X amount. And you'll get this, this, and this. If you want to cancel, completely fine. It's just you have to pay separately, and it's going to be this volume versus the package rate, the private client rate. If you go with us with the website, so there's different ways to package it in the beginning to set the expectation where they decide, yes, I'm going to move forward, or no, I'm not going to on the recurring. During the initial, if you do 2 or 3 3-step sales calls versus one here, ongoing relationship, and then at the end, again, crossing the bridge of having to make another decision.
Makes sense.
Have you considered that?
Sense. No, it was never in my consciousness to even think about something like that. But that's really good, actually. That's something we should definitely implement as soon as possible.
I love it. Another key thing that could support you, have you mapped your customer journeys?
Not entirely.
Okay. So I want you to put on your Walt Disney hat.
Okay.
And I would like for you to map out, depending on the different paths a client can take. And not because they can take unlimited amounts. Like, I don't want permutations. I just want logical streams of paths. Maybe you have 5 different paths. Maybe you have 8. But the logical paths, all the way from marketing to sales, to onboarding, fulfillment, retention, highlight, and then just map that out first, and then look with your team, have a creative session and say, how can we create peak moments? How can we create not just excitement, but delivery? How can we crush the onboarding for them to feel like, wow, these guys know their stuff?
I've been talking about that now. Yeah. The onboarding part, we also, I'm a big believer. I've studied, the 25 cognitive biases. I've studied a lot of psychology books in terms of sales, right? And the number one thing people always have, doesn't matter what they buy, people have it to a different degree and they feel it differently, but buyer's remorse is like, how do you combat someone's buyer's remorse, right? And our theory, which we put into practice since day one, is give them a really good experience when it comes to onboarding, right? Help them get the quick wins, show speed and efficiency, over communicate and over deliver right in the beginning, so they think, wow, we made the right choice. Their buyer's remorse level goes down a little bit, right? So we've been very cognizant about that since day one, and now it's how to create these consistent peak moments after that onboarding is done during the project. That's the next challenge I got to work on with my Walt Disney hat.
I love it. Well, I mean, you're already thinking the right key way, and it's always, I mean, you nailed it. I call it the 2 R's when it comes to unlocking LTV, it's results and relationship. I always say, like, it doesn't matter how many wines you send the client, how many bottles of wine. If you can't get results, like, it doesn't matter. They're not going to drink the wine. But it's like, how do you elevate their experience depending on who they are, make them feel that? If they want to feel significant, how do you embed and design their path to feel that way? If they want to feel certain or powerful or in control, how do you give them that quote unquote autonomy or that control through the experience? And both in the ascensions, upsells, cross sells, or even in clients that were clients but were no longer clients, how do you continue that? And how do you start to leverage the tools that exist right now? Maybe you have a 24/7 AI bot giving answers when you're sleeping, and that way the bot can look at all your FAQs, all your SOPs, and provide value to the client immediately. It's how do you start leveraging the tools that way versus going to the marketplace and saying, what are the tools and what I can use? Saying, here's what I need, what tools exist, because the tools will always be sprouting. There's actually be a substantial amount over the next 18 months. Right now, at the time of this recording, Feb 2023. So it's looking at that. Then also, there's a natural handoff. There's a natural offboarding. When you offboard, how do you do it? How does the experience feel? A good story here. A very famous, well-known company here in San Diego. I'll save the name to save their reputation. But a friend of mine, she was working in their UX department. It's a tech company, B2B tech. And we were discussing around user experience, customer flow, etc. And she mentioned that the company actually makes it very hard for people to leave. Like when you leave, they don't give you all your data as easily. They make it complicated. They give you a bad taste in your mouth. And that affects the number one marketing, which is word of mouth, right? So it's looking at how do I, even when they hand off, how do they still have a wonderful handoff so that they have the opportunity to come back and feel good about coming back for your win back rate. So it's like, it's again, you're just a designer. You're just looking at it, the path, designing it, aligning to their core values, who they are, and what you can deliver, and then finding the tools, resources, people, and training to implement it.
Love it. Raul, thank you very much, man. Where can people hear about you?
The best place to go is on LinkedIn, and I can send that link in the show notes, but just find me on LinkedIn. Let's have a conversation.
Sounds good, Raul. Thank you so much, man, and I look forward to speaking with you offline.
Appreciate you, man.